welcome to the View from ADB. We are in Frankfurt for the Asian Development Bank annual meeting, and today I'm joined by Sir Danny Alexander, Vice President of the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
So this is quite a big day in terms of news, both for the ADB and AIIB. The Memorandum of Understanding between the two organizations was announced today, and it was also announced that the first project will be a highway project in Pakistan. In terms of future collaborations, or actually future projects solely spearheaded by the AIIB, what could you tell us in terms of the pipeline, or which countries or which projects would make most sense at the moment for AIIB?
Well, first let me say that today is a very good day for the AIIB and the ADB and the cooperation between our two institutions. The Memorandum of Understanding that President Jin Liqun and President Nakao of the ADB have signed today, I think shows how the organizations are going to work together on co-financing of projects, collaboration in many other ways. We're still building our pipeline of projects. Obviously, the AIIB has a very focused mission in terms of investing in infrastructure that will be to the benefit of the economy of Asia, that will be sustainable and meet high standards in terms of the environmental and social framework, for example. We're currently building the pipeline of projects, looking at opportunities for infrastructure projects that can transform people's lives, particularly in perhaps the less developed countries in Asia, or where the need is greatest. Our board will have to consider our first projects in due course, probably at our meeting in June, including the one that has been discussed here today. So they have to take the decision, but one of the benefits of co-financing is that it allows us to benefit from work that's been undertaken by other multilaterals. We set the same high standards as the ADB, as the World Bank and others do, and so collaboration like that can really help us to get off to a quick start.
And would you say that following the One Belt One Road initiative will be a strong part of where projects by the AIIB will fall in the future?
Well, the One Belt One Road is an initiative of the Chinese government. We're a multilateral bank. We have 57 members. We're not there to follow the agenda of any one member country. And of course, projects from any country, including in the One Belt One Road, can come to the AIIB and ask for funding, and we'll determine that according to our own policies. We have already put in place our procurement standards, our environmental and social standards, many other policies that have to be met by by projects that we will fund. And so, of course, we look forward to projects coming forward in One Belt, One Road countries and also in many other countries in Asia.
And in speaking of meeting international standards in terms of governance, safety, climate, President Nakao in today's press conference said that at least for the first joint project in Pakistan, the ADB will take the lead when it comes to meeting these standards. Is this a short-term situation? Why is this the case for this project? Is it merely because AIIB is a very new organization, and how will meeting these standards play going forward for the AIIB?
Well, one of the benefits of co-financing, I think for both parties as time goes on, is that there's no point duplicating effort. We have very similar high standards in terms of environmental and social framework, in terms of procurement and so on. And so if we can benefit from work that the ADB has done, or in due course the ADB can benefit from work that we have done, that helps to make project financing more efficient. Many projects will be very large scale in financial terms, and so co-financing will be of benefit to both institutions. That doesn't mean we have to double the work. We can share each other's high quality work and ensure that we can get the job done more quickly. That's what our region needs.
And what do you say to those market analysts that argue there's a lot of doubts in terms of whether the AIIB will be meeting these standards, because many people associate it obviously with China? It is a Beijing headquartered institution, and the same doubts I think that some analysts have towards Chinese market practices are being also translated into the AIIB. What is your comment to that?
Well, the AIIB is a multilateral development bank that will meet the highest standards. People, of course, should judge us by our actions, but they can also judge us already by the policy decisions that we have made. You can go to the AIIB website today and study our environmental and social framework, study our procurement standards, study our financial frameworks, and see that the standards we are setting are at least as high as other multilateral development banks, and that ought to give people a lot of confidence about the way the AIIB will behave. And of course, by co-financing projects with other multilateral banks, as we will do particularly in our early stages, again, I think that shows that the AIIB is not just aspiring to high standards but also intending to meet them.
So I guess co-financing and collaborating with other multilateral institutions will be a starting point for the AIIB, and then it will bring you to having single projects in terms of your own responsibility?
I think a lot of people said when the AIB was first thought of, this is being set up in competition to existing institutions. The truth is that we want to collaborate with everybody that we can work with other MDBs, with national institutions, with the private sector, because there is such a need for infrastructure investment in the Asia region that we need to work together to deliver what the region needs.
And now clearly the projects are the key focus, they're starting to be developed. If we sort of flip the coin and look actually at what the AIB funding program could look like, of course a lot of these multilateral institutions tap international bond markets frequently and on an annual basis. Is that something the AIB is looking at? What would the ideal funding program look like for an institution like yours?
Well, we're still in the process of developing those policies. We're an organisation that came into existence in January of this year, so a lot of that is to come down the line. But of course, in due course, we will need to tap markets, just like other institutions do. How and when we do that remains to be seen.
Finally, I guess more on a personal note, of course, when you were appointed, there was a lot of noise about the UK appointment for the AIB, also because the UK was the first European country to step in and support this institution. There were a lot of voices and rumors saying that from the Chinese counterparts, there was a bit of surprise of having a figure like yourself that, of course, has a lot of experience in politics, a little less so maybe in international finance. What would you like to respond to these kinds of comments?
Well, people can judge me by what I do and what I have done already in my career. I think that my experience is of real benefit to the AIB. We have a very strong leadership team with President Jin Liqun and the team of vice presidents. I was the first vice president actually to take up my position, and I found strong support from all of the member countries. My responsibility is for the governance as vice president and corporate secretary to make the institution work well. I was responsible for the UK's National Infrastructure Plan and our own domestic infrastructure programme, as well as the fiscal consolidation in the UK, which many other countries have looked to in the last few years. And so I think my domestic as well as international experience stand me in good stead for this role. But we can talk again in 3 years' time, and you can ask me how it's going.
Exactly. Well, Sir Danny, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck with the AIB and new projects.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.